There were some times by the Farbrengens that the Rebbe would speak about something, mainly about the Frierdiker Rebbe, and you would get the feeling that really he's talking about himself. Like, for instance, I once mentioned one of these broadcasts that one of the Farbrengens, when the Rebbe spoke about the Rabbeim, how each one refers to a different, connected a different sphere, and he mentioned that the Frierdiker Rebbe is Spheres HaYesod, and he was Merames that he's next, he's Spheres HaMalchus, by saying that the Shver is Yesod, v'chulu. But there it was more clear, because he said clearly before that, when the Frierdiker Rebbe said Heid v'chulu meant him, so when the Rebbe said Yesod v'chulu, it meant him. But other times it wasn't that clear, but still you could feel that he was talking about himself. So one of the Farbrengens I want to mention is Yud Shvat. Actually, it was the Farbrengen for Yud Shvat, but it was Motzei Shabbos, Parsha B'Shalach, Yud Aleph Shvat, Tov Shin Chof Ches. There the Rebbe said that the Frierdiker Rebbe in the Farbrengen of Simchas Torah, Tov Rish Tzadik Gimel said something, which later when the Sikha was printed, the Frierdiker Rebbe took it out. But the Rebbe said, I have a copy of it, and he will say over what it says there, what the Rebbe said there. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said that in the year Tov Rish Pei, which was the year that his father, the Rebbe Rashab, was Nistalik, he his father asked him to accept certain things upon himself, which I did, but I gave a condition, it should be b'chesed u'berachamim. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe said, das hat ihm gekost asar gesund. It cost him a lot of health to actually fulfill it. And he said, the walls of my room were soaked with tears to make sure that I shouldn't offend anybody, and I shouldn't be merachak, I shouldn't push away anybody. And the Rebbe said that means that the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he accepted in the Siyas, he asked his father it should be b'chesed u'berachamim, and his father agreed, but nevertheless it was not enough. He still felt that he had to cry, and the wall of his room was full of tears, soaked with tears, that this should happen. And the union of tears means that it so much affects you that it goes beyond, it overflows and goes into tears. And he said that for this he had to have tears so much that the room became soaked with tears. And the Rebbe explained what that means. The room is a place where people come in under the same akiv. So you can imagine the Rebbe's room. It says, Mishein lebayis ein odom, that if you don't have a house, then you're not a person. So you could imagine that the house of the Rebbe is connected to the etzem of the Rebbe. Just by a person, it makes you into a person. So by the Rebbe, this was etzem of the Rebbe. So the walls of this room was soaked with tears, in order that when people come into this room and they're under one makiv, who really seemingly deserve to be offended, and some people that offending wouldn't help him, and they deserve even to be thrown out, to be nisrachik, and he paled on himself that this shouldn't happen. And then the Rebbe said that this was a lesson that for us also, that this is how we have to behave. You can't say, I'm only going to be mekar of people, bring people into to my room, only if the person is deserving and the person is not somebody who deserves to be thrown out. So here we see that even though the person deserves to be offended, deserves to be thrown out, so the lesson is that we have the kayach of the Frierdiker Rebbe not to do it. And the Rebbe said this applies even after the istalkas of the Frierdiker Rebbe. He said that means that now we even also have that kayach to not to offend, and not to be merachik. And when the Rebbe spoke this inyan, you could feel that the Rebbe is saying about himself, that how much keichas he put in order to make sure not to offend anybody, even those people who deserve to be offended and deserve to be thrown out, not to do it. And from the voice of the Rebbe and the way he said it and the way everyone was feeling it, was that he's talking about himself, that he himself paled on himself, because he said it's even after the stalkers of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it's still there, etc., etc. So even though he said that this is a lesson for everyone, but you could see that he was talking about himself. I don't know if when you hear the recording, you'll also get that feeling, but B'Shas Maisa, we were all standing there, we were talking after Farbrengen, and you could feel in the air that the Rebbe was talking about himself and expressed himself, how he paled on himself, that chas v'sholem, nobody he should offend chas v'sholem, and he should be merachik, push away chas v'sholem.